The Ukraine-Russia border has been a focal point of geopolitical tension and territorial transformation for centuries. It is a region where historical, cultural, and political factors have intersected to create a complex and ever-evolving landscape. The shifts in this border are not merely a matter of lines on a map. They represent a historical saga of conquest, conflict, and national identity. This video delves into the multifaceted history of the Ukraine-Russia border, tracing its evolution from medieval times to the contemporary era. But before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode of our in-depth historical explorations. Now, let's unravel this epic narrative: medieval origins. The roots of the Ukraine-Russia border can be traced back to medieval times. The territory of present-day Ukraine was a crossroads of various East Slavic tribes, including the Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus, which was centered in modern-day Kiev, played a significant role in shaping the culture, religion, and politics of the region. One of the most crucial events in the early history of this border was the Mongol invasion in the 13th century. The Mongols, under Genghis Khan, conquered vast territories, including parts of Kievan Rus. The border of this new Mongol empire shifted to encompass much of what is now Ukraine. This period of Mongol rule, known as the Golden Horde, had a profound influence on the region's development: Polish-Lithuanian Empire and the Cossack Uprising. The late medieval and early modern period saw the Ukraine-Russia border shift yet again. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth extended its influence into Ukrainian territories, leading to a series of conflicts and tensions. The region became a battleground for various European powers, including the Ottoman Empire and the Habsburg monarchy. The 17th century marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Ukraine-Russia border. The emergence of the Cossacks, a group of semi-nomadic warriors, played a central role in shaping the region's future. The Cossacks, led by figures like Bohdan Khmelnytsky, launched a series of uprisings against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. These uprisings, known as the Khmelnytsky Uprising, had significant repercussions for the territorial configuration of the region: the Treaty of Pereyaslav and the Hetmanate. In 1654, the Treaty of Pereyaslav was signed between the Cossacks and the Russian Tsar, Alexei Mikhailovich. This treaty marked a crucial shift in the Ukraine-Russia border. The agreement granted the Cossacks autonomy within the Russian state and recognized the Tsar's sovereignty over the territories east of the Dnieper River. This marked the beginning of the Hetmanate, a Cossack-governed region within the Russian Empire. However, this period was not without strife. The Treaty of Pereyaslav was followed by a series of wars and treaties that shaped the border. The Treaty of Andrusovo in 1667 divided the Hetmanate along the Dnieper River, with the left bank becoming part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the right bank remaining under Russian control. The partition of Poland and the expansion of the Russian Empire. The late 18th century brought about a significant shift in the Ukraine-Russia border. The partition of Poland in the late 18th century resulted in the Russian Empire gaining control over a substantial portion of what is now Ukraine. This marked a significant expansion of Russian territory and influence in the region. The Ukrainian territories absorbed into the Russian Empire experienced a process of Russification with the suppression of the Ukrainian language and culture. This shift in the border laid the groundwork for the modern geopolitical situation between Ukraine and Russia, as it introduced a substantial Ukrainian population under Russian rule. World War I, the Russian Revolution, and Ukrainian independence. World War I and the Russian Revolution of 1917 brought further changes to the Ukraine-Russia border. As the Russian Empire was swept into the chaos of revolution, Ukraine declared independence in January 1918, marking the birth of the Ukrainian People's Republic. However, this newfound independence was short-lived, as Ukraine became a battleground for various factions, including the Bolsheviks, White Russians, and foreign intervention forces. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918 saw Ukraine partitioned between the Central Powers, including Germany and Austria-Hungary, and the Bolshevik government in Russia. This shift in the border resulted in the emergence of various Ukrainian governments, including the short-lived Hetmanate and the West Ukrainian People's Republic, the Soviet Union and the Ukrainian SSR. After a series of conflicts and territorial adjustments, Ukraine found itself under Soviet control. The Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic was established as part of the newly formed Soviet Union. The border shifted to include much of present-day Ukraine, albeit with some adjustments over the years. During the early years of Soviet rule, Ukraine experienced a period of cultural and national repression as the Soviet government sought to suppress Ukrainian identity. The Holodomor, a man-made famine in the early 1930s, resulted in the deaths of millions and further strained the relationship between Ukraine and the Soviet Union. World War II and the division of Ukraine. World War II brought new shifts to the Ukraine-Russia border. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of 1939, a non-aggression treaty between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, included a secret protocol that divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence. As a result, Ukraine was split between Nazi-occupied and Soviet-occupied territories. The western part of Ukraine fell under Nazi control, while the eastern regions remained part of the Soviet Union. The complexities of this period left a lasting impact on the region's demographics and politics, post-war settlement and the Cold War. Following World War II, the border of Ukraine, as part of the Soviet Union, remained relatively stable until the end of the Cold War. The division of Europe into Eastern and Western blocs placed Ukraine on the front lines of the geopolitical struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, which occurred within Ukrainian territory, highlighted the environmental and safety concerns of nuclear energy in the region. The disaster had global repercussions and contributed to the push for Ukrainian independence and the disintegration of the Soviet Union. The late 20th century witnessed a momentous shift in the Ukraine-Russia border. As the Soviet Union faced internal and external pressures, the various Soviet republics sought greater autonomy and independence. In 1991, Ukraine declared its independence from the Soviet Union, marking the end of nearly 70 years of Soviet rule. The dissolution of the Soviet Union led to the emergence of the newly independent states, including Ukraine and the Russian Federation. The border between the two nations became an international border for the first time in many decades. Contemporary border issues. The contemporary Ukraine-Russia border is a source of ongoing tension and conflict. Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and its support for separatist movements in eastern Ukraine in regions like Donetsk and Luhansk have created a new set of border issues. These actions have been met with international condemnation and economic sanctions. The war in eastern Ukraine, often referred to as the conflict in Donbass, has resulted in a de facto border along the contact line between Ukrainian government-controlled territories and the self-declared Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics. Negotiations have taken place under the Minsk agreements, brokered by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in an attempt to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. This was fueled by issues related to ethnic tensions, political disagreements, and questions about Ukraine's alignment with the West or Russia. The Ukrainian government's desire to establish closer ties with the European Union and NATO was met with resistance from Russia, which sought to maintain influence in Ukraine. The conflict resulted in significant human suffering and displacement, as well as a complex geopolitical landscape with lasting implications for the region. And there you have it, our journey through the Ukraine-Russia border shifts, a story that continues to shape the course of international relations. I hope you found this video informative and engaging. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments section below. What other historical sagas would you like us to explore in the future? If you're hungry for more historical insights, make sure to subscribe to us as we've got a world of knowledge waiting for you. Thank you for joining us today.